today, Chelsea, the pride of London, in Fulham Road, West London, is 118 years. And today we'll be looking at the form of Chelsea in the Premier League season. Chelsea has played 25 Premier League games, have scored just 24 goals, means they have just a goal short of the number of matches they've played. They've conceded 25 games, means per this start they concede every single game, and they have a goal difference of -1. Also, we've seen that Chelsea has scored just 1 goal in the whole of February. This 2023 has been a tough time for the Blues. They've had just 3 wins in 13 matches in 2023, and they went on a 5-game winless run in the Premier League at a point. Now, Chelsea are also one of the lowest scoring sides in Europe's top 5 leagues. We have Sampdoria and other very poor teams which are less financed also in that team. It's quite shocking that Chelsea finds itself in this position. Also, look at this tour injury list. Today, Graham Potter, Chelsea's manager, told us that Reece James, Raheem Sterling, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang will not feature in this game because they got injured in the Dortmund game. Aubameyang got injured previously. Thiago Silva and N'Golo Kante, Mason Mount, Amanda Broja, who is out with an ACL injury for the rest of the season. Edouard Mendy is also out, as well as Cesar Azpilicueta, the skipper, out with a concussion injury. Now, we will be having a conversation on Chelsea's poor form and other issues. And for that, we've been joined by a UK-based Ghanaian sports journalist, Rahman Osman, who is the chief football writer for LondonWorld. Hello, sir. Good evening. Welcome to News Tonight live on GH1 TV.
Hi, thank you for having me on News Now.
Okay, it's interesting to be a football reporter in London at this moment because, as we know, Arsenal are leading the Premier League table and they are relatively stable. For Chelsea, it's a bit of a crisis, and for Tottenham Hotspur as well, they are having their own issues between Richarlison and his manager Antonio Conte, as well as his sack. Now, since the last time we spoke, a lot has changed at Fulham Road, West London. At the time, the Blues were on a winless streak and pressure was mounting on Graham Potter. Now, the situation is different. Chelsea have now won their last 2 games for the first time since October. What has changed? What has caused that change?
Well, the big change is that they are beginning to win games. That's the most important thing in football. And the fact that they're winning has also meant that the environment around the clubs are changing. And this is what the owners wanted when they employed Graham Potter, that at some point in time, he would be able to implement his methods and the team will begin to start winning game. And that's what has changed. Especially that win against Leeds United was quite pivotal because that's what gave them momentum going into the Champions League game against Dortmund in midweek. And that also means that they remain the only English club in the Champions League. So it's so much good news in a week where everything could have gone bad for Potter, but he's been able to turn it around.
Okay, now on our screen here, we've seen that Chelsea have won their last 2 games, 2 wins in a row for the first time since October. That's 5 months ago. Also, they have had 2 clean sheets in their last 2 games, 3 goals in their last 2 matches, and they have qualified to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. This is quite different because about 2 weeks ago, death threats were issued to the manager, and now there's a different situation. Do you think the support is now coming from the fans?
Yeah, I mean, every manager rises or falls based on results, and Potter has always said that he's always been backed so much because of the fact that he did a very good job in Brighton, and now the main issue is getting results because Chelsea have always been a team that have won massive. When they had Tuchel, they won the Champions League, and before that, they won a lot of league titles also. The previous managers. So the change is just based on results. If Potter, because listen, Potter is English, so a lot of Chelsea fans would want him to do well. There's no hiding from that fact. But in the end, he needs to win the fans over. He needs to prove to the fans that he's got what it takes to be Chelsea manager, and that's what he's doing. Going forward, tomorrow's game will be really pivotal against Leicester.
Yeah.
That game, if they can win 3 games on the road, surely that answers your question that Chelsea are beginning to turn the corner.
Well, okay, let's look at the Aubameyang situation out of Mihailo Mudryk. Chelsea's, as we saw from the start, they've played 25 games and they've scored just 24 times, a goal difference of -1. And we've seen that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is one of those prolific strikers in the Premier League and around Europe. Mihailo Mudryk is one of those prominent players, budding talents. But however, they are struggling for game time. What's the problem?
Well, the problem is that he needs time to adapt, isn't it? I mean, the Premier League is quite intense. He's coming from Ukraine. And even before he made the move, he hadn't played about 6 months before making the move. So he needs time to adapt. Unfortunately for him also, he came at Chelsea at a time where the results weren't good. So the manager kept having to change the team. And remember, Chelsea is easily one of the best clubs in Europe. They've got a lot of top talents, and like Hakim Ziyech is not playing. Raheem Sterling has just come back into the team, and a lot of flying wingers. So he's got to compete. There's no doubt he's got talent, but talent is not enough. He needs to find the right timing, and he needs to be introduced into the team slowly. He will come good. There's no hiding from the fact. And the fact that he's not playing now doesn't mean he won't play in the future. But they need results. They need experience, and that's why the likes of Kai Havertz and the likes of Sterling have been given the nod at this particular time. But right question, I'm sure a lot of Chelsea fans thought, because Arsenal wanted him, he would come into Chelsea and start blowing everything away. It doesn't work that way. He will need time to settle.
Okay, let's go back to the gaffer, Graham Potter. Questions over his future were raised at a point where other coaches like Zinedine Zidane, Luis Enrique, and De Zerbi, Brighton's manager, had been linked to the job. Is there any truth to that, that such managers were linked to the Chelsea job at a time where there was poor performance?
It's hard. It depends on who you speak to. Because I cover Chelsea extensively. I can tell you that at a time where a lot of people were saying Potter's job was on the line, it wasn't. The owners never really thought of sacking him. It would have been a different situation, though, had they lost against Dortmund. That's the truth. Because, like I said, the owners have a project. And part of the project also means that it's a long-term project where they really want to be able to build the club as the great place for all talents. And that's why they're bringing in players like Wesley Fofana, Mikhailo Modric, even Enzo Fernandez. Very young age, long-term contracts.
Exactly.
And that's why Potter had always had their backing. So at that time that De Zerbi and all those people were being linked to the job, the owners were still backing Potter. However, Potter had to play his part. And part of playing his part also was being able to get results, like big results like the one he got against Dortmund. Now, that's proper Chelsea results. Their backs against the wall, and everybody thinking that, oh, Chelsea are not winning games, and they go into a big European game and win it. That's the spirit of what has made Chelsea a very successful team.
Quickly, just in 15 seconds, can you paint a picture of the crisis in North London with regard to Tottenham Hotspurs, the problems of Antonio Conte's future, and also his feud with Richarlison?
You see how things have changed now. It's funny football. Everybody says now Tottenham have the crisis. A few weeks ago, when Tottenham beat Chelsea, it was Chelsea were in the crisis. And then they went on and won against Leeds and Dortmund. And all of a sudden, nobody's talking about Chelsea again. And because Tottenham lost against Sheffield United and also lost against Milan, everybody says Tottenham is in crisis. It will be interesting. If they win tomorrow against Forest, everybody will say Tottenham is back again. But take it from me, Antonio Conte has got a contract that ends at the end of this summer. He's failed to renew or extend his contract. That's why people think he doesn't really want to be at Tottenham for a long time. And remember, he's had a lot of losses. His friends passed away this year. He himself has just gone and done an operation on his gallbladder. And he's had to live back home in Turin for a week before coming back. So he's disrupted. He's not settled. And that's the feeling that he might walk away this summer. And Mauricio Pochettino, one of the most successful managers in the history of Tottenham, is jobless. And the fans are saying, well, if Pochettino is jobless, then bring him back. He didn't win as a trophy, but the football was good, and that's the Tottenham way.
Okay, thank you very much, Rahman Osman, who is chief football writer at LondonWorld. Well, that's all the sports for now. I'm Eugene Oforisoti. Back to Nadima Umar Othman for more news.
Thank you, Eugene, for bringing us those sports updates. 118 years, Chelsea, that is quite impressive. But up next is sports. E-Zone, I beg your pardon.